Are you on your way to work? Well, you better enjoy it because the way technology is evolving soon, that job might not be there. It might be the domain of artificial intelligence. That's the big thing now. It's what everyone's talking about, ChatGPT and whatnot. But besides ChatGPT, there's so much AI involved in things like self-driving of vehicles. These days, pilots of commercial airliners barely touch the controls.
That's true.
The planes fly themselves.
That's true.
The only time you'll ever see a pilot holding the control is during takeoff and during landing.
Yes.
But the rest of it, like as soon as they take off and retract the wheels, autopilot.
How about during what's that when like they're in the air? I'm forgetting the word. When like the winds are strong.
Turbulence.
Yes. How about during turbulence?
Not even then, autopilot can still navigate.
Yeah, but I think sometimes they can encounter really strong winds and they have to do something.
Right. But for the most part, these planes are flying themselves, and it's only getting. Oh, I shouldn't say it's getting worse. What I mean is
better.
It's getting better and better. The technology is getting better and better. Sometimes the technology is too good and it intervenes when it shouldn't, as you saw with the 737 MAX 8 disasters. With the MCAS system, engaging when it wasn't supposed to, and the pilots were unable to override the computers.
Oh, so that was a problem of the computers engaging, not the pilots.
Right. The computer was trying to be too efficient, but because it was relying on false information coming in from faulty sensors and other things, the actions it implemented ended up crashing the plane.
So it was too late for the pilots to
and they weren't high enough yet in altitude to be able to perform some recovery procedures. So that was very sad. At least I'm talking about the Ethiopian one. But that's the way of the future. AI computing, it's going to take over everything. And now online retail giant Amazon has announced that they're planning to cut another 9,000 jobs because they want to save costs. Now, Amazon employs 1.5 million people. That's a lot of people. And they are saying that their cuts would fall mainly in areas that would include cloud computing and also advertising. It did not say which countries would be affected, but said these positions would be closed in the next few weeks. The firm already axed 18,000 jobs just in January of this year, and so they're going to be cutting 9,000 more. So it's literally it's a genocide of jobs.
Yeah, it is. And so you mean, because you referenced AI in the beginning, so you think that these further 9,000 people that are going to be cut off are going to be replaced by AI?
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen videos of Amazon warehouses now. For example, now they use robots to sort the boxes and the packages, and for them, they don't need lunch breaks, they don't need vacations or medical insurance, labor unions. One robot can do the work of 30 people. So
in a microsecond.
Exactly. So, when it comes to the cloud computing business, that in particular, I can see AI playing a big role. And even in advertising, just on ChatGPT, you can go in there and it can create for you
an advertisement. Yes.
So you can go there and say, write for me an advertising script for a soda that tastes like this, that is targeted at this demographic, that has this flavor, and for this market. Click. And then it will give you like so many options.
Everything that you need, business ideas. You just have to tell them, write for me a business idea, let's say in the cosmetic industry. Yeah. And then it will even generate a name for you if you need a name, yes.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, but my question here is, yes, AI is all good and perfect, but where do we as humans draw the line? Can it do it all?
Well, I saw someone advertising AI radio presenters.
Whoa.
So even us in radio, we're doomed. So you can program the thing to announce the songs, talk about a subject. I mean, we're going in that direction.
But no, for me now, that's where I draw the line. I'm like, okay, fine. General things, AI can do them. But, being interesting, as in, is AI going to tell jokes?
Give it time. Maybe now it can't. And there's been discussion about whether or not machines or computers can detect and generate humor.
Exactly.
Because humor is very contextual. and it's not something that a machine can easily process.
I mean, even as human beings, sometimes someone will tell you a joke and it will be lost on you. You won't get it. Or sometimes you can't even tell jokes yourself because maybe what you think are jokes are really dry and annoying.
But in a way, I do feel like what we're seeing happening in Silicon Valley and many of these tech companies is like it's a market correction. I think they got too greedy and expanded too fast in anticipation of, especially during COVID. Yeah, these guys got so ambitious. Why? Because everyone was at home, so they just assumed, all right, so that's the next step. No one will be going to office. Let's create a metaverse. And you saw what happened with that.
I can relate what happened during the COVID-19 pandemic and these businesses that enlarged beyond. I can compare it to when a woman is pregnant. You grow so much hair. It is simplistic, but follow. So you grow so much hair and you're like, oh my goodness, I have all this mane of hair. It looks nice. And then when you give birth, the hormones start getting out of your system and then you start shedding off all that hair that you thought you had gotten during pregnancy.
I didn't know that that's a thing.
That's the
Women
thing.
shed hair after childbirth.
Yes. And you will find that they lose hairlines when they're breastfeeding because that hair was not there to begin with. So now you're losing it.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. So when it comes to these companies that were started or were expanded during the pandemic, by the way, even here, there are companies that were making huge sums of money during the pandemic. And right now they're struggling because their business model fits the pandemic. It doesn't fit the current times.
So, perhaps then, as we soldier on through this market correction that seems to be taking place and people losing jobs in different sectors, perhaps at some point the dust shall settle. And just like water, they say water always finds its own level.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's going to happen, and maybe we shouldn't worry. And if jobs are lost in one sector, perhaps they shall be created in other sectors.
And when it comes to jobs, I guess we also don't have to sit comfortably. We need to get with the times because if AI is all the rage right now, then it means that even individuals need to learn more about how the digital world works. Find a skill in
You
the digital
have to
sphere.
get ahead of it, which makes you wonder. And since I now have a newborn child, I have the opportunity to think about this. And when we talked about educating the child and you are like, come up with something. Actually, I've been in talks with different educators and teachers because I worry for the future. I think the standard education system right now is ill-equipped to handle tomorrow's challenges. What good does it do to subject a child to an education system that rewards memorization and regurgitation when now computers are doing all of that? Now if you want to know the direction to any location, you just tell your phone to point you to the place and it'll show you. Now you've got ChatGPT that's going to write you your business proposals, write you your essays, write you everything.
But I still feel like as an individual, because if a Fatboy, if you find someone that is not well educated, someone that has not been given the basics of education, and you give them ChatGPT, they would still not be. Even today, right now, there are many people that don't even know what a minefield it is. they hear about it. They're like, oh, there is that thing people talk about on Facebook.
But they don't know how to navigate through it or use it
They don't know how
properly.
to navigate through it. Even if we have AI telling you which direction to go, if you don't have any idea about geography, you will still not read them up.
Well, but at the very least, there has to be a rethinking of the education system because when our children graduate through this system and all they have is memorized notes,
I say no to the memorization.
They're going to find themselves ill-equipped to deal with the challenges of tomorrow, where that skill set will have no use.
That's true.
Because why would an employer need someone who has a grasp of certain facts when he or she at his or her fingertips has all this information easily available, easily packaged, and for them to use for whatever purpose they want.
And please note, or especially for people that have just graduated, most employers, your papers carry only 30% of what the employer is looking for. The 70% is in many different things. Your soft skills, your skills.
I've never looked at a CV in this office.
Yeah, no, there are still organizations and jobs where someone really needs to look at your CV, but after the CV, they need to know, away from the things you've written about yourself, how much skill do you have? Are you employable? Can you work in a team? Can you work alone?
But those
skills
are things,
and emotional intelligence, all those things, then plus the new skills that are coming in.
And I think that's when you say soft skills, I think that sort of makes me like in my head, like there's a light that's
snaps.
No. Like you've illuminated a powerful point in that, given that the harder skills are being handled by the machines now, it is the softer skills where there will be a need for human input. And maybe we need an education system that focuses on that.
Yes.
And a job selection criteria that prioritizes that. So for me, mostly, and don't laugh, but I hire on vibes. I'm one of those employers that hires people on vibes.
But this is a
you know what I mean?
so I understand
Vibes,
if you're
as in,
looking for...
you talk to a person, you have a conversation, and you
Yeah.
can just feel them out. You can kind of tell what their values are. You can kind of tell what they think is important. You can kind of tell their level of discipline and seriousness.
So that identifies where you can place them.
Exactly. And that's another thing. Sometimes a person might not even have any particular area of interest. They can just come and say, I want work. And so when you talk to them, you start to notice that they have certain strengths that can be deployed elsewhere, as opposed to a more rigid system where you say, okay, we're advertising for this position. If you have these qualifications, submit your document. And the process of shortlisting, it basically does not involve any of that human interaction. The only interaction is going to happen on usually final interview, right?
When they call you for an interview. So you're going to sieve out, and here, what are they looking at? What is the AI looking at? They have a few things they've fed it with for it to look out for in the CVs that have been submitted. So you're going to find that many good people that could have worked for you and grown your team are sieved out, maybe because they didn't write a certain way in their CV. But actually, when you get to interact them, they can do the job.
So that's, I think that's pointing to a very exciting future for a lot of people, but also a challenging one for those who have a very limited way of looking at how the world is shaping up. But what are you going to do? And for those who have lost their jobs in Amazon and Facebook and elsewhere, well, I mean, I would watch videos of these Facebook employees who literally would do no work, and they would work in these offices that had free lunch, free coffee, free ice cream, free everything. They would sleep, earning loads of money, and they would work for like 2 hours, then take a nap. The offices had like sleeping rooms where you can go and sleep. Wow. They were so lucky. But again, it was too good to be true, and indeed they were all, or at least most, were laid off.
Wow.
No surprises there.